book segment. I went into how this came into being with a storybook on trying to identify, what was it that went through the time from the first visit to the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th visit that allowed them to buy out here that wasn't present up here. And it was those four things. They wanted a stable company, good product, service department that would take care of them, and financing that was flexible enough to be, their needs. Nice paper cut. Okay. So this is what they wanted to become comfortable with. And that's when I developed the company story. Okay. Very quickly, again, to refresh, I answer the questions before we get into the demo so that they're not concerned about those things at that point and paying more attention to me. It gives them a chance to relax. But most important of all, it gives them changes the attitude toward me, that I now become the pro they're looking for rather than the salesman they fear. Now, if you go all the way to the back of the book, there are a lot of forms in the back of this, and I also have a company story in black and white. This is a slight variation of the one my kid uses up in Pennsylvania. I originally, have any of you ever shopped Palm Harbor and gone through their company story? Who's gone through that? Okay, you remember that cartoon they have with the steps? They have a cartoon with steps on the, what do you call it? My secretary drew that in 1982. Okay, that's how long they've been using that. Okay, it still works. And that's why they still use it. I've gotten a little bit more professional with them. If you go to this one here, New Vision's Home Company, if you do it on PowerPoint, it looks like this. Okay, and this is what it looks like if you do it on a PowerPoint program. I like to use a flip chart when I go into the company story, the reason I like to use a flip chart is twofold. Number one, there's something about a legitimacy in writing, okay? And what you see and hear, you are 8 times more likely to remember than if you just hear it. It increases the retention by 800%. The second reason I like to use a flip chart is it doesn't allow you to get lazy. I promise you, if you're doing your company story off the hip, and I don't know, do you have any kind of flip chart or anything that you're using right now? Okay, pardon? Storybook on, okay. Okay, well, even if you lay it down, it's just that this one, I like to use it this way because it's self-standing. And I have, this on the desk open all the time. What the heck did I get on there? Anyway, it just sits on the desk all the time where the customer can see it. Okay? And what I'm teaching you here is a concept. You adapt this to your own. Okay? I want to show you how I've changed the interview sheet a little bit. Okay? What I've done with the interview sheet, and I started this back in the 80s, and I've convinced myself thoroughly that this is the best way to do it. There are 3 areas of information that you want to get. You want to get, number one, where are they going to put the home? Number 2, what kind of home do they want? And number 3, how are they going to pay for it? So the interview sheet, if you'll, in fact, let's take a look at that a little bit. If you'll go to page 40, there's a copy of the interview sheet that I'm currently using. It has all of the questions on it that your interview sheet should have if you're using mine. I've just rearranged them, and I've added a couple of questions, like which is your most popular room, to sort of find out where they live in the home, type thing. And do you have any color preferences that I should be aware of? But you can see here I've got a site locator program, a home finder assistance, and financial considerations. So what I'm doing now is I'm going through this very quickly. I'll show you what I'm doing, then we'll back up and we'll do it. I'm going through the first pages here. And I put script on the back if you want to. Okay, all of the first pages here, there are no questions to this. It's just the story. Okay, then when I get, though, to the professional site, so the first 5 pages here, I don't do any questioning at all. When I get to this page is where I start doing it. Instead of doing the storybook and then asking the questions, I've incorporated the last 3 pages. We've got a site selector program. As an example, do you have a place to put the home on? And then you go into those site selector questions. And then you go to the next one. We also have a home assistance program, in order to identify that. And I'll give you all the verbiage for this. And then finally, will you want us to help you with the financing, or will you be paying cash? Oh, I'd want to help with the financing. Great. Then I go to the financial page and the financial questions. So I've changed the structure of it a little bit, okay? And again, you don't have to do it like this. If you've got something that's working for you, okay? But I really think this makes it smoother. You blend into the questions much easier. All right? Now, the trick here is to get into this, okay? I can sum up all of the resistance to doing this with one word, which is what? Fear. You got it. They're just scared to death of, See, when you ask them to do something that they've never been asked to do before, or that they don't understand, the safest thing to do is don't do it. Because at this point, you're still the salesperson they fear. We haven't even done this yet. You bring them in, sit them down. First of all, you got them into an office they didn't want to be into. You've got them seated there. They don't have any idea what you're going to do. And they're getting ready to get taken. You got to overcome that. Okay, now what overcomes fear? Knowledge. What you understand, you are less likely to fear. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to use a, let me show you the intro on this. And I know I'm jumping around here, but I've got it here 2 places, really. I want to get the one that has the... Okay, if you will turn to page 31, that has the one with all of the explanations on it. Okay? Let me go over this, and then we'll back up and we'll take it one line at a time. Todd, Laurie, we've developed 4 steps that are designed to save you time. They give you as much information as possible about us and our homes, so you can make a more informed decision. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our company and what we think we have to offer you and your family. And then second, I'd like to gather a little information, Nikki, is about what kind of a home you're looking for. How you plan on enjoying it. And then third, we'll go out in the display center and I'll show you every home we have that fits the information you give me. And if we do find a home you like, we can go back into the office and I'll give you all the necessary information to take home and to consider. How does that sound? Okay? All right, now that is the deal here. That's the script. Now, whenever you write something like this, or whenever I'm working on a technique, the first thing I do is say, what's the goal? Because if you go for the goal, then that solidifies your thinking. I'll give you another example. What is the sole and only goal of a follow-up call? That's it. Make an appointment. Get them back. Period. End of sentence. You tell them just enough and absolutely no more to get them back onto the lot. You don't tell them everything he wants to know over the phone, then there's no reason to come back. Okay? Just enough to, you got to see it, come on back, let me show it to you type thing. In fact, I had little stickers made for the inside of my handset said for appointments only. So when you pick the thing up and, put it to your head, you could read the sign to remind you that you're not selling the home, you sell the appointment. Okay? And if you're focused on that goal, then it keeps you steady. Okay, what is the goal of that introduction? Does anybody know? Yeah, very good. You're probably one of the only people that's ever figured that one out. It's to get permission to do the rest of it. It's to get them to agree with you that it's okay. You need permission. See, if I say, Susan, here's what I want to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, is that okay? And you tell me it's okay, then it's okay. It's that simple. You know, it is just that simple. You need permission in order to get this to work. And if you don't go for the permission, then all you do is get the resistance. Now, in order to get the permission to do 4 things, what I've got to ask you permission to do has got to be, and this is in detail, I've explained this here in the book. What you've got to do is ask them to do 4 things that are totally, completely non-threatening. You know what the message is that I want her to get? Here's what I want to do. I want to tell you about us, gather some information, show you a whole lot of homes, and let you go home. That's what I want her to hear. See? Now you start talking about, then we'll go back and you start changing this, then we can come back in the office and I'll give you all the numbers so you can see if you want to buy it, you're going to lose them. You're up here. They just walked on the lot. You're starting to talk about buying? Come on. See? I don't want you, very rarely do I say I want something done exactly the way I wrote it. There are 2 places that I want that done. Fine, please follow me, and this. I don't want you to change the syllable. This took me 2.5 years to write this thing, till we got it all fine-tuned and got it out and everything. You know, it's amazing how you change one lousy word and you can screw the whole thing up. It's not, Laurie, let's take a little bit. We've developed a 4-step process designed to save you time. You know, to give you some information about us and our homes so you can make a more informed decision. Okay, and then on page 33, first, I'd like to tell you a little about our company and what we think we have to offer your family. And I like to tick them off on my fingers. Nice, brief, you know, to the point. Second, I'd like to gather a little information. Okay, now on that first one, I said, so when I first wrote it, I said, tell you about us so you can make now it reads, so you can make a more informed decision. When I first wrote that, I said intelligent decision. And I started getting people that were insulted. You know, well, I can't make an intelligent decision without your help. You know, so I changed it to informed, which basically says the same thing, but it doesn't sound like you're questioning his intelligence. Okay? The same way on number 2, I'd like to gather a little information. When I first wrote that, I wrote, I'd like to ask some questions, and then you could watch people freeze up. You know, what is this, 20 questions? You know, I don't answer right, and you don't show me anything? So I went to gather information. Number 3 is the most important. Next, we can go out to our display homes, and I'll show you every home that fits the information you give me. What am I telling Bubba there? Don't lie. If you lie to me, Bubba, you're not going to see the right home because I'm only going to show you what fits the information you give me. Now, you may not understand that, but I guarantee you Bubba understands that sitting across the table. He's not quite sure what you're up to. He's getting ready to lay you the biggest getaway story on you've ever heard, and that's how you overcome it. Then we'll go out to the display center, and I'll show you every home we have that fits the information you give me. Now, not that fits your wants and needs, not that fits your pocketbook, that fits the information you give me. Okay. And finally, if, not when, if. I'm not trying to close, I'm trying to get permission. Stay focused on the goal. If we find a home you're interested in, we return to the office, and I'll gladly give you all the information you need to take home and consider. How does that sound? Okay? You know, now, you get that rare guy that says, hold it. I don't want to go through this. Let's just go look at some homes. Now what do? I'll gladly open up everything on the display center if that's what you want me to do. But if we just spend 10 minutes in each home, and you go back to that. Okay? It's how to understand that no matter what happens to you, you know where to go to next so that you are going to do the matchmaker and lender investment. I don't know how dedicated your managers are. If you work for me, I guarantee you're going to do that or you're not working there anymore. You know, and anybody that ever worked for me will tell you 2 things about me. I'm an SOB to work with. It's my way or the highway. You know, but also anybody that ever worked for me will tell me if you listen to me, I'll teach you how to make a ton of money. Okay? And I'm a fair SOB. I'm the same SOB every day. You don't have to read, you don't have to get a program to find out what I'm thinking today. If you want to know how I'm thinking, here, read the book. It's all in there. All I want you to do is what's in here. It's real simple. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a matter of getting a new playbook every Monday morning. Right. I have a guy like that. Are you familiar with that Palm Harbor location on Ben White down at, Rick? When Rick was running that thing, he was an absolute taskmaster. Oh, really brutal. I mean, if he caught you trying to walk out without a filled-in interview, you were fired on the spot in front of the customer. And he'd do it. No second chances. There were no reprieves. That's it. You get one shot, and everybody knew it, so nobody tried him. But they had, I think, 12 managers and 2 vice presidents come off that company, off that lot. 12 of their managers come off. You talk to any of those guys that ever worked for him, they'll tell you what an SOB was, but they'll also say, I wouldn't trade the experience for $1 million. No. See, the word is to manage. It is not doomant, and the rest. As a manager, my job is to teach you how to do all of this as quickly as possible, all by yourself, so you don't need me. Okay? Because if I'm going to do all of the closing forever, I'll do that at the start, but I don't want to do it forever, because if I could do it forever, then I'm going to limit myself to 3 salespeople max, because that's the most I'm going to be able to handle that way. I'm never going to get up to, like that location ran anywhere from 12 to 15 salespeople, all of them making money. Right? So you're not going to have that happen without management. It is not dooming. Right? And my job is to keep the pressure on you to learn. Not to the point where you break. I mean, I'm fair about it. All I want you to do is give it an honest shot. That's all I ask. Right. If you'll do that, I'll make you a ton of money. Any questions on this intro? I really would suggest to you that you literally memorize that. I have it at an earlier place in the book too, where I didn't have the explanations so that you can see how it looks without the explanations. But I redid it here on page 32. And then, if the guy agrees, great. Charles, why don't you let me tell you a little bit about our company. We're rather proud of what we have to offer. In fact, so much so, we made up a little flip chart, to show you what we had in mind. I'd like to go through it. Charles, no matter where you decide to invest, there are 4 things that you ought to be concerned about. Number 1, are you dealing with a reliable company, a company that's going to be around in the future if you need them? Number 2, do they build a quality product, a home that's going to give you and your family years of trouble-free use? Number 3, they have a dependable service department, one that will give you service in a timely manner. And number 4, is their financing and pricing flexible enough to meet your family's needs? Now, all of that's on page 33. Okay? And the verbiage is there on it. And I would suggest, and if you want to, put it on the back. Put it on the back. I don't want you reading it. I mean, that's a little tacky. But the nice thing about this, if you have it on the back and the guy leads you down the garden path halfway, you can sort of glance at it if you've memorized it, and it'll bring you back where you want to pick up. And then if you're looking for a stable company, you'll be pleased to know that we started with 1 location in 1971. Since then, we've grown to over 40 locations. Look, we've stood the test of time, and you can be sure we'll be around in the future whenever you need us. Now, let me tell you something about this that a lot of people don't realize. This is a feature benefit presentation, and it took me a while to understand that. When I first started doing this, I told the facts, and I didn't tell them why that was important, and I couldn't get people to show much interest. Once I started telling them the benefit, we started in 1971. What does that mean? Well, we stood the test of time. They pretend that every time you give a feature, whether it's in here or in the home, a little sign lights up in the person's forehead and says, so what? Because if they can still ask, so what, after you're through with a feature and benefit, you haven't done it right. Right? You always want to explain why that's important to them. And you can read along with me here if you want to. You know, one of the biggest reasons we've prospered over these many years and be around in the future, because we make customer service our number one priority. Not only is it the ethical and the right thing to do, it's also, Sandy, good business. You know, a major share of our future business comes from referrals. You know, these are friends and family of our satisfied customers whom they send to us because they're pleased with the home and the way we treated them. We also have a large number of people who buy their second or third home from us over a lifetime. All of our managers live in the market they serve, which assures you that if you ever need something resolved, you don't have to go to the East Coast to get an answer. So a little slap on you-know-who. Okay? Our manager is right here. We think it's important to answer questions as soon as possible. How do you feel about that, Charles? And every once in a while, you want to throw in a tie-down question. You know, get them involved in this on it. Don't lecture, you know, with it. In 1994, we went public, and our stock is now traded on a stock exchange. In order to continue to be able to trade our stock, we must report to and are subject to very strict government standards of doing business. You know, this is just one more assurance, Shandy, you're dealing with a reputable, legitimately run business. We think that's important. Don't you agree? Okay. And you address these problems one at a time, you know. Quality homes. Because our managers live in the area that the display centers are located in, we know exactly what kind of homes our customers are demanding. You know, we couldn't find manufacturers that built the floor plans we need or that could meet our high quality standards. That's why we have our own factories. Now we can give you the quality home you deserve with a floor plan you'll love and at a price you can afford. How important is it to find a top quality home? See? And again, in the question, now, are all of your products built in your factories? Okay. You know, so that would apply. You know, you just change the dates. You know, however, there are a few this would not apply and you would not use it. Some guys that are public still use other manufacturers to build for them. However, there are a few manufacturers that build to our high quality standards. As an example, there is this company named ABC Industries. They've been building homes since '67 and, like us, have the experience to build a quality home at an affordable price. Because we give them so much business, we and our customers get preferential treatment on both floor plan availability and value. And then you go into buying power, which you would. Buying power always means savings. Savings we can pass on to our customers. After all, you can buy a trainload of anything cheaper than you can buy them one at a time, can't you? With over 40 locations, if we only order 15 homes a month at each location, that would mean 600 homes a month. Most of our competitors don't order that many homes from a factory in a year. You know, it would be nice having that kind of buying power working for your family for a change, won't it? And I think it's, you know, the guys, you know, script the darn thing. Don't shoot from the hip on this. It's too important. You know. Professional service department. From years of experience, we know that the most important concern after delivery of the home is what happens when you need service. Because customer service is our number one priority, we provide service 3 different ways. First, to ensure that your experience is as pleasant as possible, we have a 10-point professional delivery and setup program. This makes sure that the home is checked every step of the way from the time it's built, through delivery to our site, right up until you move in. If we find a home you love, I can show you at that time a brochure we have that explains this in greater detail. You know, second, since a home is a people-made product, a certain amount of adjustments are usually required. And notice again the verbiage. I didn't say repairs. It's adjustments. You know, soften it up. You're going to script the thing, you know, say it that, you know, it's as easy as possible. We have a special factory phone number so an appointment can be set up to have one of our professionals come to your home with all the tools and parts necessary to make any adjustments. After all, there's nobody better qualified to repair a home than the people who build it. Wouldn't you agree? Now there I use repair. Okay, because it makes sense there. Is that what you're doing? You have factory people doing the repairs, or? Okay, so basically you're doing this. Okay. And then third, we have we also offer an emergency service program to take care of anything that must be handled immediately. You simply call a special number. we'll give you, and one of our professional service people or a local professional will be assigned to take care of the situation as soon as humanly possible. Now notice I did not say that when you call this number, the serviceman will be at your location by the time the phone hits the cradle. You know, I mean, don't make promises you know aren't going to be kept. This says as soon as humanly possible. We'll get to it, which you will. All right. Now, up until now, I have not asked any questions. What the goal up until now was to build credibility. Now I should have enough credibility that I want to get into the questions. Okay? And some of our clients have a place to put the home on, and others have just started looking. How about yourselves? Do you have a site to place the home on? Okay, and then we'll go into that. Now, I've printed all of the questions here that go for that section. You know, on there. All right, now, if you'll... if you will go here to page, let's take these questions one at a time. How soon are you planning on making a housing change? I'm trying to identify what one of the three things I've got going for me here. Do I have a degree of urgency? Do I have a stumbling block that's going to prevent me from selling today? Or do I have a customer who really doesn't have any concerns one way or the other? Okay, let's take a degree of urgency. What might I have that I would love to hear that's a degree of urgency? How soon are you planning on making a housing change? The customer might answer, what, Charles? Pardon? Yeah, that's probably one of the most popular. Well, I got to do something by the 15th of next month. Why the 15th of next month? Because my lease is up for the 15th of next month. The guy wants me to sign a 2-year lease, and he's jacking up the rent by $100, and I'll be darned if I'm going to pay that. I mean, I love this guy. In less than 4 weeks, he's joining the homeless here. What kind of bargaining power does he have? He's got to do something. The urgency is built in, you know, to the deal, you know, on it. So that would be a degree of urgency that they may have, and there's examples in here too. Okay, what might be a delay factor that could affect how we would close the unit? Okay, I haven't found land yet. Might be one. You know, I've got to find the land. I don't have a place to put it yet. I've got to sell the house. Hey, yes. Okay, I've got to wait till I get my income tax money. Okay, see, I can show you how to overcome that. That's easy. That's why H&R Block is in business. For $75, $80, they'll get you a rapid refund check in a couple of days. You know, and you know, put that together in a heartbeat. You know, for $80. Okay, let me explain those because I got all of that stuff in the back of the book. Let me explain that on Friday. Okay, and I'll do that at the closing, but I promise you I've got all of that in there. Make a note on that. If we don't get into that, remind me. But I know it's back here. You know, hey. Biggest one you do is tell it, particularly if they're both living at home, you tell them if he buys it now, it gives him a private place to plan the wedding. You don't have to expand on that. They'll know what you're saying. And there's a couple of other arguments you can make in favor of doing that too. You know, but I'll show you a whole mess of ways of convincing them on that. See, whenever somebody wants to delay making a decision, you have got to put a penalty on delaying. If there's no penalty on delaying, then why shouldn't they wait? That's where going into the cost of waiting sheet is an ideal way. You know, you can wait. Let me show you what that's going to cost you. Okay? I can take a $50,000 home and show you where the guy's legitimately risking anywhere from $10,000 to $13,000 more for waiting 3 months. Okay? Now, and I'll show you how to do that later. Okay. All right. Okay, so I've got to sell the house first. I've got to wait for this. I'm going to do this. But fortunately, most of the delaying tactics really don't stop you. It's a matter of how to handle it. I've got to wait for the kid to get out of school, you know, that type of thing. all of those